Hi students, today we are going to learn about reproduction and modification in plants. In this lesson, we get a clear idea how a flower becomes a fruit with seed through pollination and fertilization, and to know the modification of roots, stem and leaves. Introduction. Already we know that flowering plants have roots, stem and leaves. They are called vegetative organs. Flowers, fruits and seeds in a plant are called reproductive organ. In this lesson, we see that how a flower changes itself into a fruit and the modification of root, stem and leaves of a plant. Reproduction. The process by which plants and animals produce young ones and increase their number is known as reproduction. When plants reproduced from seed, we call this process as sexual reproduction. All other ways of reproduction without seed are called as asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. Seed is produced from a flower by the process of pollination and fertilization. First, we need to understand the parts of a flower. Parts of a flower. In a bud, we can see a green color leaf-like structure which covers the whole bud or flower. Each of these green-like structure present as an outermost layer is called as sepal. This outermost ring of sepals is known as calyx. Petals. Petals are the largest part of flowers. They are often attractive, brightly colored, sometimes sweet-scented and attract the insects. The rings of petals together is called corolla. Inner to this corolla, we can observe a long tube on which many stamens are arranged. The ring or whorl of a flower is called androecium. Each stamen consists of two parts, a stalk called filament and a lobe called anther. Inner to this androecium whorl, we can find a female reproductive part of the flower called gynoecium. You will find this part with a swollen bottom part. This is the ovary. Seeds are produced in this part. On the top of the ovary, there is a slender tube-like structure called style. The topmost sticky tip of the style is stigma. Pollen grains are received by the stigma. This is the fourth whorl of a flower. Next part is types of flowers. If all the four whorls, calyx, corolla, stamen and pistils are present, then it is called as a complete flower. Complete flowers are bisexual flowers. If any of these four whorls is missing, then it is called as an incomplete flower. Incomplete flowers are unisexual flowers. Move on, pollination. The process by which pollen grains reach stigma is called as pollination. We transfer the pollen grains from male flower to the female flowers. This is called as an artificial pollination. However, in nature, there are many ways in which pollen grains reach the stigma of the flower and is called as natural pollination. Next one is self-pollination. What is self-pollination? Pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or to another flower of the same plant. Cross-pollination. Pollen grains are transferred from the anther of the one flower to the stigma of the another flower of the same kind or different plant. Move on, fertilization. Through pollination, pollen grains reach stigma. See the diagram. What happens to them after this? Substance produced on the stigma causes the pollen grains to germinate. During the germination, a tube develops from the pollen grain that carries male gamete that ultimately reaches the female gamete inside the ovary through a style. Male gamete fuses with female gamete to form zygote. This process is known as fertilization. Next topic, asexual reproduction. The production of new plant without the involvement of the pollination and fertilization is known as asexual reproduction. Let us know the types of asexual reproduction. First one is vegetative propagation. In potato, shoot arises from eyes. sugarcane, yam are also grown like this. Vegetative parts of the plant such as root, stem and leaves can help to propagate the plant. Next one is budding. Single yeast undergoes asymmetric division. It produces small protuberance which gradually grows and detaches from the parent cell. This process is called budding. Next, fragmentation. In a pond, we see many algae. Spirogyra is a filamentous alga. When it matures, the filament divided into pieces. Each fragment or piece of a filament will grow into a new filament or individual. This process is known as fragmentation. Next one is spore formation. What do you mean by unfavorable condition? Scarcity of water, high temperature, nutrient deficiency in soil, etc. are unfavorable conditions. During these conditions, non-flowering plants like alga, fungi, moss and fern produces spores. They germinate into a new plant when favorable conditions are returned. Thank you.